I wasn't at Christmas dinner because I had urgent business. The kind that couldn't wait, the kind that pays for Christmas dinners in the first place. I was standing in an industrial parking lot at 11:30 on Christmas night, freezing my ass off while my business partner tried to explain why our shipment was stuck at the Canadian border. Snow was coming down in thick, wet clumps, and I could see my breath every time I cursed. "They're saying the paperwork doesn't match," Rick said, stamping his feet. He was a good partner, reliable, but right now I wanted to strangle him. I triple-checked everything before we sent it. "Then someone changed it," I said. "Or someone's lying. Either way, we're losing money every hour it sits there." The security guard wandered over, looking bored. "You guys gonna be much longer? I gotta lock up the gate at midnight." 10 minutes, I told him. He nodded and walked back to his booth, shoulders hunched against the cold. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. It buzzed again and again. "You gonna get that?" Rick asked. "It's probably my daughter wondering where I am." I pulled out my phone, expecting to see a missed call notification. Instead, I saw a text from Martha, my next-door neighbor. The preview said, "Tom, I think you need to see this." I opened the message. There was a video file attached, 47 seconds long. "Give me a minute," I told Rick. I stepped away from him, into the shadow of a shipping container, and pressed play. The video quality was shaky, obviously shot through a window. I could see my daughter's living room, the Christmas tree in the corner with its white lights, the stockings hung over the fireplace. My daughter Elena was standing near the couch, arms crossed. Her husband David was pacing in front of her, gesturing wildly. I couldn't hear what he was saying at first. Martha must have been recording from her kitchen window, which faced their house. Then the volume kicked in, scratchy but clear enough. "I told you 3 times to handle it, and you just sat there like a useless—" "I was trying to," Elena started. "I don't care what you were trying to do." His voice got louder. "You're pathetic. Your dad's not here to bail you out this time, is he?" "No, because he's too busy making his precious money to give a shit about you." I stopped breathing. Elena didn't respond. She just stood there, looking at the floor. "Say something," David shouted. "Jesus Christ, you're just like your mother. Weak, worthless." The video ended. I stared at the black screen for 10 seconds. Then I replayed it. This time I watched without sound. I watched Elena's face. I watched her body language. And that's when I noticed something that made my stomach turn. She wasn't crying. She wasn't protesting. She was just standing there, waiting for him to finish. Like this was normal, like she'd heard it all before. "Tom?" Rick's voice cut through the fog. "You okay, man? You look like you saw a ghost." I put the phone back in my pocket. "I gotta go." "What?" "We haven't figured out the shipment yet." "Handle it," I said. "Do whatever you need to do. I'll cover the cost." "Tom, this is a $100,000 problem." "Then it's a $100,000 problem. I'll deal with it tomorrow." I was already walking toward my truck. Rick called after me, but I didn't turn around. The security guard waved as I passed his booth. I didn't wave back. I got in my truck and sat there for a minute, hands on the steering wheel, engine running. The heat blasted my face, but I couldn't feel it. I could only hear David's voice in my head. "Your dad's not here to bail you out this time." I pulled out my phone and called Martha. She answered on the first ring. "Tom, I'm so sorry to bother you on Christmas, but I thought you should know." "How long has this been going on?" There was a pause. "I don't know exactly. I've heard them arguing before, but tonight it was bad. I almost called the police." "Did he hit her?" "No, not that I saw, but Tom, the way he was talking to her. Send me any other videos you have." "This is the only one. I just happened to be in the kitchen when it started. Should I?" "Don't do anything. Don't talk to them. I'll handle it." "Okay." She sounded uncertain. "Are you going over there?" "Yeah. Be careful." I hung up and pulled out of the parking lot. The roads were empty, slick with snow. I drove 15 miles over the limit, hands tight on the wheel. I kept replaying the video in my head, not the words, the silence, Elena's silence. The way she stood there and took it, like she'd forgotten how to fight back, like she'd given up. I raised her better than this. I taught her to stand up for herself, to never let anyone talk down to her. I paid for her college, her wedding, the down payment on that house. I gave her everything she needed to be strong. Apparently, I paid for the upgrade. The thought made me laugh, a short, bitter sound that echoed in the truck cab. Then I wasn't laughing anymore. I didn't go straight to their house. I stopped at a red light and sat there, idling, even after it turned green. A car behind me honked. I didn't move. If I went there now, I'd do something stupid. I'd walk in and confront David, and he'd either run or fight, and either way it would end badly. Elena would defend him. She'd tell me I was overreacting, that it was just an argument, that I didn't understand their relationship. The car behind me honked again, longer this time. I drove through the intersection. I needed to think. I needed to see this clearly. I turned left instead of right, heading away from their neighborhood. I had somewhere else to go first. 20 minutes later, I pulled into the parking lot of a storage facility on the edge of town. I punched in the code at the gate and drove to Unit 47. I hadn't been here in 6 months. The lock was stiff with cold, and I had to jiggle the key to get it open. The door rolled up with a screech. Inside was the collected debris of my old life. Boxes of files from my first business, furniture I'd replaced but couldn't throw away, tools I'd inherited from my father and never used, and in the back corner, under a tarp, was what I came for. I pulled off the tarp and looked at it for a long time. It wasn't a weapon. Not exactly. But it was the kind of thing that made people nervous when they saw it, the kind of thing that required explanation. I'd bought it 15 years ago for a job I never finished, and it had been sitting here ever since, waiting. I picked it up. It was heavier than I remembered. I loaded it into the truck bed and covered it with the tarp, then locked up the storage unit and drove back toward Elena's neighborhood. The streets were quieter now, past midnight. A few houses still had their Christmas lights on, but most were dark. I parked 2 blocks away from Elena's house and walked the rest of the way, boots crunching in the snow. Martha's house was dark. So was Elena's. The Christmas tree lights were off. I stood on the sidewalk for a minute, looking at the place. It was a nice house, 2 stories, brick facade, good neighborhood. I'd helped them buy it 3 years ago. I'd told myself it was an investment in their future. Now I wasn't sure what it was. I walked up the driveway. Their cars were both there, David's Lexus and Elena's Honda. I could see tire tracks in the snow where they'd pulled in earlier. I stopped at the front door and stood there, hand raised to knock. Then I lowered my hand and walked around to the side of the house. The side door led to the garage. I knew they kept a spare key under a fake rock near the garden hose. I found it, brushed off the snow, and unlocked the door. The garage was dark and smelled like oil and old cardboard. I stepped inside and closed the door quietly behind me. I could hear voices upstairs, not arguing, just talking. I couldn't make out the words. I stood in the dark garage for a full minute, listening. My heart was pounding. My hands were cold. I thought about the video. I thought about Elena's face. I thought about David's voice. "You're pathetic." I opened the door that led from the garage into the house. The kitchen was dark except for the microwave clock, which said 12:47. I walked through it, past the refrigerator covered in magnets and grocery lists, past the table where they probably ate breakfast together like everything was fine. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs. The voices were clearer now. Elena was saying something about work. David was responding in a normal tone, almost pleasant, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't called her worthless an hour ago. I started up the stairs. They creaked under my weight. I didn't try to be quiet. I wasn't sneaking. The voices stopped. I reached the top of the stairs. The hallway was lit by a nightlight plugged into the wall. I could see their bedroom door at the end, half open. "Elena?" David's voice, uncertain. I walked down the hallway. My boots left wet prints on the hardwood. "Dad?" Elena appeared in the doorway, wearing pajamas. Her face went pale. How did you get in here?" "We need to talk," I said. David appeared behind her, wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. "Tom, what the hell is going on?" "I got a video tonight," I said, "from Martha next door." "You remember Martha?" Elena's face changed. She knew exactly what video I meant. "I don't know what you're talking about," David said, but his voice was too high, too fast. "Yes, you do." I kept my voice level. "I heard what you said to her. I watched the whole thing." "That was private," David said. We had an argument. Couples argue." "Not like that." "You don't know what you're talking about." He was getting braver now, stepping around Elena. "This is our house. You can't just break in here." "I didn't break in. I used the key." "You need to leave." I looked at Elena. She was staring at the floor, arms wrapped around herself. "Look at me," I told her. She didn't move. "Elena, look at me." She raised her head slowly. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. "Is this the first time he's talked to you like that?" She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at David. "Don't answer him," David said quickly. "This is none of his business." "I'm making it my business." "You need to leave," David said again, louder this time. "Right now, or I'm calling the cops." I smiled. I didn't mean to, but I did. It wasn't a happy smile. Go ahead, I said. Call them. Let's all sit down and watch the video together. I'm sure they'd love to hear your thoughts on my daughter. David's face flushed. Get out of my house. This isn't your house. I paid for half of it. That was a gift. It was an investment, and I'm starting to think I backed the wrong horse. That's when David moved. He stepped forward, finger pointed at my chest. You think you can come in here and threaten me? You think I'm scared of you? I didn't move. You should be. We stood there, 3 feet apart. I could smell his cologne, something expensive and sharp. I could see a vein pulsing in his temple. Elena stepped between us. Stop it, both of you. Dad, you need to go. We'll talk about this tomorrow when everyone's calmer. I'm calm, I said. You're scaring me. That stopped me. I looked at her, really looked at her. She was scared, but not of David, of me. Please, she said quietly. Just go. I stepped back. Okay, I'll go. I turned and walked down the hallway. David called after me, something about respect and boundaries, but I wasn't listening anymore. I made it to the stairs, down to the kitchen, through the garage. I was almost to my truck when I realized something. I'd forgotten to bring the thing from the storage unit into the house. I stood there in the snow, key in hand, and laughed. It was a real laugh this time, loud enough that a dog started barking somewhere down the street. I'd gone in there unarmed, empty-handed, and they'd been terrified anyway. That told me everything I needed to know. I got in my truck and drove home. It was almost 2 a.m. by the time I parked in my driveway. I sat there for a while, engine off, watching the snow fall and the headlight glow. My phone buzzed. A text from Elena. I'm sorry you had to see that. David and I are working through some things. Please don't worry. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it without responding. I went inside my house, a 3-bedroom ranch I'd bought after the divorce. It was quiet and cold. I turned on the heat and made coffee, even though I knew I wouldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop. I pulled up the video Martha had sent me and watched it again, and again, and again. By the 5th viewing, I'd stopped listening to what David was saying. I was watching Elena. She wasn't trapped. She wasn't cowering. She was just waiting, like she was letting him get it out of his system, like she'd learned that the best way to deal with him was to stand there and take it until he burned himself out. That wasn't fear. That was strategy. I closed the laptop. The coffee had gone cold. Outside, the snow had stopped. The street was empty and white and silent. I pulled out my phone and called Rick. He answered on the 4th ring, groggy. Tom, it's 2:30 in the morning. I need you to do something for me. Can it wait until... No, I need you to pull every file we have on David's company. Everything. Tax records, client lists, contracts. I want to know how he makes his money. There was a long pause. Why? Because I asked you to. Tom, what's going on? I'll explain later. Can you do it or not? Yeah, I can do it. It'll take a couple days. I've got time. I hung up and sat there in the dark kitchen, watching the first light of dawn creep through the windows. I wasn't angry. That surprised me. I'd expected to be furious, to be planning something reckless. But I wasn't. I was calm, clear. I'd raised Elena to be strong, and somewhere along the way she'd learned a different kind of strength. The kind that bent instead of breaking, the kind that waited. Maybe she'd learned it from me. I thought about that for a long time. Then I got up and went to take a shower. I had work to do. I didn't sleep. I showered, shaved, put on fresh clothes, and drove to the office at 6 a.m. The building was empty except for the security guard, who looked surprised to see me. Merry Christmas, he said. Yeah, I said. You too? My office was on the 3rd floor, corner window overlooking the city. I'd started this company 18 years ago with a truck and a handshake. Now we had 40 employees and contracts in 3 states. I'd built something real. I sat at my desk and opened my email. 87 messages since yesterday morning. I deleted most of them without reading. Rick called at 7:30. I'm looking at the files now. What am I looking for exactly? Anything unusual, gaps in income, clients who don't make sense, shell companies, whatever you can find. This is starting to feel illegal. It's not. David works in real estate consulting. His company is registered with the state. Everything I'm asking for is public record. Then why do you need me to pull it? Because I don't have time to do it myself. Rick sighed. You're going to tell me what this is about eventually, right? Eventually. I hung up and stared out the window. The city was waking up. Traffic was building on the highway. The sun was coming up pale and cold. My phone rang. Elena, I let it go to voicemail. She called again 5 minutes later. I let it ring. The third time, I answered. Yeah, Dad. Her voice was tight. We need to talk. I'm listening. Not on the phone. Can you meet me somewhere? Where? There's a coffee shop on Westfield, the one near the park. Can you be there in an hour? I looked at my watch. Yeah. Thank you. She hung up before I could say anything else. I spent the next 45 minutes reviewing contracts and pretending to care about numbers. Then I drove to the coffee shop. It was one of those places with reclaimed wood and Edison bulbs, the kind where coffee costs $6 and comes with foam art. Elena was already there, sitting at a corner table with her hands wrapped around a mug. I ordered black coffee and sat down across from her. She looked tired. No makeup, hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was wearing a sweater I'd bought her for her birthday 2 years ago. Thanks for coming, she said. You asked me to. I know, I wasn't sure you would. She took a breath. About last night. Which part? The part where your husband called you worthless? Or the part where you acted like it was normal? She flinched. It's not like that. Then explain it to me. David was stressed. We'd had a long day, and... Elena. I kept my voice level. Don't do that. Don't make excuses for him. I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to give you context. I don't need context. I saw what I saw. She set down her mug carefully. What exactly did you see? I saw my daughter standing there while her husband screamed at her. I saw her do nothing, say nothing, just take it. So what? You want me to scream back? You want me to fight with him? I want you to have some goddamn self-respect. Her face went cold. You don't know anything about my marriage. I know enough. No, you don't. She leaned forward. You weren't there for most of it, were you? You were too busy working, building your empire, making your money. I was providing for you. You were avoiding Mom, and after she left, you were avoiding me. Her voice was quiet but sharp, so don't sit there and judge my marriage when you couldn't even keep yours together. That hit harder than I expected. I sat back in my chair and looked at her. She held my gaze. No tears, no apologies. Fair enough, I said finally. I didn't... She stopped. I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, you did. And you're right. I wasn't around as much as I should have been, but I'm here now. I don't need you to rescue me, Dad. I'm not trying to rescue you. I'm trying to understand. There's nothing to understand. David and I had a fight. It got heated. It's over. Is it? She didn't answer. We sat there in silence. The coffee shop was filling up with morning customers, people ordering complicated drinks and typing on laptops. How long has this been going on? I asked. Nothing's going on. Elena, I'm serious. We argued. That's it. I pulled out my phone and showed her the video. She watched it without expression. When it ended, she handed the phone back. Martha needs to mind her own business. Martha was worried about you. Martha's a busybody. She sent me that video because she cares. She sent you that video because she likes drama. Elena picked up her coffee again. Look, I appreciate the concern, really, but David and I are fine. We're working on things. What things? Communication, stress management, normal relationship stuff. That didn't look like normal relationship stuff. You've been divorced for 12 years. What do you know about normal relationships? I couldn't argue with that. I have to go, Elena said, standing up. I have errands to run. On the day after Christmas? Returns, exchanges, the usual. She pulled on her coat. Thanks for the coffee. We didn't finish talking. Yes, we did. She smiled, and it was wrong somehow. Too controlled, too practiced. I'll call you later, okay? She left before I could respond. I sat there for another 20 minutes, drinking cold coffee and watching people come and go. A young couple sat near me, laughing about something on their phones. A man in a business suit ordered 5 drinks and carried them out in a tray. Everyone looked normal, happy, like their lives made sense. I paid for the coffee and drove back to the office. Rick was waiting for me when I got there. He had papers spread across my desk, his laptop open. Found something, he said. I closed the door. Show me. He turned the laptop toward me. David's company is called Apex Consulting. They specialize in real estate investment advising. Client list looks normal. Income's consistent. Tax returns are clean. But he's got 3 LLCs registered in Delaware, all formed in the last 18 months. They don't show up on any of his public filings. I looked at the screen. What are they for? That's the thing. They don't seem to do anything. No income, no expenses. They just exist. Shell companies. Maybe, or maybe they're just dormant. Some people set these up for future projects. 3 of them? Rick shrugged. It's weird, but not illegal. I sat down at my desk and studied the information. The LLCs had different names, but they all shared the same registered agent, a law firm in Wilmington. Can you find out who else uses that agent? I asked. Yeah, but it'll take time. These firms handle hundreds of companies. Do it. Rick looked at me. Tom, are you going to tell me what this is about? David's my son-in-law. I know that. Why are you investigating him? Because something's wrong. What kind of wrong? I thought about the video, about Elena's face, about the way she'd defended him this morning even though she knew what he'd said. I don't know yet, I said, but I'm going to find out. Rick gathered his papers. You know, there's an easier way to handle this. What's that? Talk to him. Ask him directly. I tried that last night. He told me to leave. Then talk to Elena. I just did. She told me everything's fine. Maybe it is. It's not. Rick sighed and headed for the door. He stopped with his hand on the knob. Be careful, Tom. Whatever you're looking for, you might not like what you find. I already don't like it. He left. I spent the rest of the day reviewing the information Rick had pulled. The more I looked at it, the less sense it made. David's company was successful, profitable, growing. There was no reason for him to have shell companies unless he was hiding something or preparing for something. At 4 o'clock, my phone rang. Unknown number. Yeah, I answered. Mr. Grant? A man's voice, professional. This is Detective Harris with the City Police Department. I was hoping I could ask you a few questions. My stomach dropped. About what? About a complaint we received regarding an incident last night at your daughter's residence. Who filed the complaint? I'm not at liberty to say, but I understand you entered the home without permission? I used a key, the family key. Did your daughter or her husband invite you to the property? No. Then technically, Mr. Grant, that's trespassing. I closed my eyes. Are you charging me? Not at this time. I'm just gathering information. Can you tell me why you went to the residence? I received a concerning video. I wanted to check on my daughter. A video of what? A domestic dispute. There was a pause. Between your daughter and her husband? Yes. And you felt the need to intervene? I felt the need to make sure she was safe. Was she in danger? I don't know. That's why I went. Another pause. Mr. Grant, I understand you're concerned about your daughter, but breaking into someone's home isn't the appropriate response. If you have concerns about domestic violence, you should call the police. I didn't break in. I had a key. A key you weren't invited to use. His tone was patient, like he was explaining something to a child. I'm going to recommend you stay away from the property unless you're explicitly invited. Can you do that? Yeah. Good. I'll note that in my report. If you have any other concerns, please contact us through the proper channels. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone. David had called the cops on me. My own son-in-law had filed a police report, and Elena had let him. I stood up and walked to the window. The city was getting dark. Streetlights were coming on. Traffic was gridlocked at the intersections. My phone buzzed. A text from Rick. Found something. Call me. I called him. The registered agent handles companies for a bunch of people, he said. But there's a pattern. Most of them are in real estate, and a lot of them have filed for bankruptcy in the last 5 years. How many? 12 out of 34. That's a lot? Yeah, it could be a coincidence, but it's not. Probably not. I thought about it. What if David's setting up shell companies to hide assets? From who? From whoever he owes money to, or from the IRS, or from Elena if they get divorced. Rick was quiet for a moment. That's a pretty big accusation. I know. You got any proof? Not yet? Then what are you going to do? I looked out at the city, at all those lights, all those people living their lives. I'm going to get proof, I said. I hung up and grabbed my coat. I didn't go home. I drove to Elena's neighborhood and parked 3 streets away. I walked through the backyards, staying in the shadows until I reached Martha's house. She answered the door in a bathrobe, holding a glass of wine. Tom, what are you doing here? I need another favor. She looked nervous. I don't know if I should. Please, it's important. She let me in. Her house was warm and cluttered, full of knickknacks and family photos. We sat in her kitchen, and I explained what I needed. You want me to spy on them? She asked. I want you to pay attention. If you see or hear anything unusual, let me know. Tom, I already feel bad about sending you that video. Don't. You did the right thing. Did I? Because now you're asking me to keep watching them, and that feels wrong, I know. But Elena's in trouble, and she won't admit it. Martha set down her wine glass. What kind of trouble? I'm not sure yet, but David called the cops on me last night. He filed a trespassing complaint. Her eyes widened. He what? Yeah, that's insane. You're her father. Apparently that doesn't matter. She shook her head slowly. I knew something was off about him. The way he acts, so charming in public, but what? I don't know. There's something about him that doesn't feel real, like he's performing all the time. I knew exactly what she meant. Will you help me? I asked. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, but Tom, you have to promise me something. What? If this gets dangerous, you'll call the police. You won't try to handle it yourself. I promise. It was a lie, and we both knew it. I left through her back door and walked back to my truck. The neighborhood was quiet, most houses dark except for the glow of TVs through curtains. I drove home and sat in my driveway for a while, thinking. David was hiding something, Elena was protecting him, and I was on the outside, looking in, trying to piece it together. I realized something then, sitting there in the dark. I wasn't angry anymore. I'd moved past anger. I was somewhere colder, sharper. I was planning. I drove to their house. Martha was right. The driveway was empty, the house dark. I parked and walked up to the front door. It was locked, but I still had the key. I let myself in. The place was a mess. Drawers pulled out, closets emptied, papers scattered on the floor. They'd left in a hurry. I walked through the rooms, looking for anything they might have left behind. In the kitchen, I found a notepad next to the phone. The top page was blank, but I could see indentations from whatever had been written on the previous page. I grabbed a pencil and shaded over the indentations. Words appeared. Lakeview Motor Lodge, Room 8. I tore off the page and pocketed it. In the bedroom, I found more evidence of their panic. Clothes on the floor, suitcases gone, bedding stripped. The closet was half empty. On the dresser, I found a framed photo of Elena and me from her college graduation. She was smiling, cap crooked on her head, diploma in hand. I was standing next to her, arm around her shoulders, grinning like an idiot. I picked up the frame and looked at it for a long time. Then I set it back down and left. The Lakeview Motor Lodge was 40 minutes north, a rundown place on the edge of the city limits. I parked in the lot and looked at the rooms. Number 8 was on the end, curtains drawn. I got out and knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Elena, I know you're in there. The curtain moved slightly. Then the door opened a crack, chain still attached. Elena looked out at me. How did you find us? You left a note. We didn't leave a note. You wrote down the address. I found it. She closed her eyes. Dad, you can't be here. Let me in. No. Elena? You don't understand. If they find out we're here, who's they? She didn't answer. Let me in, I said again. Please. She looked at me for a long moment, then closed the door. I heard the chain slide off. The door opened. The room was small and dingy. 2 beds with floral bedspreads. A TV bolted to the dresser. David was sitting on the far bed, head in his hands. How did you find us? He asked without looking up. I'm good at finding people. I closed the door behind me. What's going on? We're leaving, Elena said. We're going somewhere they can't find us. Where? I don't know yet. Somewhere far. I looked at David. This is about the investors, isn't it? He looked up at me. His eyes were red. They know. They figured out I've been hiding money. How do they know? Because someone told them. He laughed bitterly. Someone in my office, probably. I can't trust anyone. So you're running. What else are we supposed to do? Face them. Work out a deal. There is no deal. He stood up, voice rising. These people don't negotiate. They don't forgive debts. They collect or they make examples. Elena put a hand on his arm. David, calm down. I can't calm down. Your father led them right to us. I didn't lead anyone anywhere, I said. I came alone. You think you weren't followed? You think they don't have people watching you? I felt a chill. What are you talking about? David walked to the window and peered through the curtain. They've been watching all of us for weeks, waiting to see who makes a move. If they're watching you, why haven't they done anything yet? Because they're patient. They want all of the money, not just some of it. They're waiting for me to lead them to the rest. Where is the rest? He turned away from the window. Offshore, untouchable. Then they can't get it. They can get it if they get me, if they make me talk. The room went quiet. Elena sat down on the bed. We have to leave tonight, before they realize we're gone. Where will you go? I asked. Mexico, maybe, or Canada, somewhere without extradition. You can't run forever. We can try. I looked at her, sitting there on that cheap motel bed, shoulders slumped, all the fight gone out of her. This wasn't my daughter. My daughter was strong, confident, fearless. But maybe I'd been wrong about that. Maybe I'd never really known her at all. Elena, I said quietly, come home with me. She looked up. What? Leave David. Come home. We'll figure this out together. I'm not leaving him. He's dragging you down. Can't you see that? He's my husband. He's a criminal. So am I. She stood up. I helped him, Dad. I knew what we were doing. I made the choice. Then unmake it. It's too late. It's not too late. It's never too late. She walked over to me and looked me in the eyes. You don't understand. I'm not a victim. I'm not trapped. I chose this. Why? Because I love him. And because... She stopped. Because what? She turned away. Because you were never there. You were always working, always busy. And when Mom left, you didn't even try to fix it. You just let her go. That's not fair. Isn't it? She faced me again. You taught me that the only thing that matters is survival. Making money, building security, protecting what's yours. Well, that's what I'm doing. By stealing? By surviving. I didn't have an answer for that. David stood up. You should go, Tom, before someone sees you here. I'm not leaving without her. We stood there, the three of us, in that shabby motel room. My phone buzzed. A text from Rick. Found info on Vincent Cross. You were right. He's bad news. Former mob enforcer, now works independently. Has a reputation for extreme collection methods. Be careful. I showed the message to David. His face went gray. That's him. That's the guy I owe. How much? Everything. $2 million plus interest. He wants it all. And if you don't pay? David didn't answer. I looked at Elena. Is this really the life you want? Running from a mob enforcer? Looking over your shoulder forever? I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. She shook her head. Not anymore. There was a sound outside. A car door closing. David moved to the window. Someone's here. Who? I don't know. Black SUV. 2 men getting out. My heart started pounding. Are they coming this way? I can't tell. Yeah. They're walking toward the building. Elena grabbed my arm. Dad, you have to hide. I'm not hiding. Please. There was a knock at the door. We all froze. The knock came again, harder. David, we know you're in there. David looked at me. What do? We talk to them. Are you insane? You can't run anymore. They found you. Elena was shaking. Dad, stay behind me. I walked to the door and opened it. 2 men stood there, both in suits, both built like linebackers. The one in front smiled. You must be the father, he said. Vincent told us about you. Who are you? My name's Ray. This is my associate Marcus. We're here to collect a debt. From David? That's right. Is he here? I stepped aside. Ray and Marcus walked into the room. Ray looked around, taking in the cheap furniture, the scared couple. Nice place. Real cozy. What do you want? David asked, voice shaking. You know what we want. The $2 million you owe, plus interest. We've been patient, David, but our patience has limits. I don't have it. We know you don't have it here, but we know you have it somewhere, and you're going to tell us where. And if I don't, Ray smiled, then we start with your wife. Elena made a small sound. I stepped between them. You're not touching her. Ray looked at me. You want to get involved in this, old man? This isn't your fight. She's my daughter. That makes it my fight. Marcus moved forward. Ray, you want me to... No. Ray held up a hand. Not yet. Let's give them a chance to be reasonable. He turned back to David. Here's how this works. You tell us where the money is. We take it. You walk away with your life. Simple. Maybe. Maybe not. And we'll make it slow. The room was silent. I could hear my heart beating. I could see Elena's hands trembling. I could smell David's sweat. This was it. This was where it ended. Unless I did something. I have a better idea, I said, Ray looked at me. What's that? I'll pay the debt. Everyone stared at me. What? David said. I'll pay what he owes. $2 million plus interest, whatever the total is. Ray laughed. You got that kind of money? I can get it. How fast? A week, maybe less. Ray considered this. Why would you do that? Because he's family, and because I don't want my daughter looking over her shoulder for the rest of her life. Ray looked at Marcus. They had a silent conversation. Okay, Ray said. You got 3 days, not a week. 3 days. You bring us the money, we clear the debt. How do I know you'll honor that? You don't, but it's the only offer you're getting. He pulled out a business card and handed it to me. Call this number when you have the money. We'll set up a meet. He and Marcus walked to the door. Ray paused and looked back. 3 days, he said. Don't make us come looking for you. They left. I stood there staring at the door, trying to process what I'd just done. Elena grabbed my arm. Dad, what were you thinking? I was thinking I'm not letting you get hurt. You can't pay $2 million. I can. I have savings, investments, the business. I can liquidate enough to cover it. David sat down heavily on the bed. You'd do that? For me? Not for you, for her. I looked at Elena. But you're done with this. After I pay, you're done. You leave him, you come home, you start over. I'm not leaving him. Elena, I said, I'm not leaving him. We stared at each other. Fine, I said. Then you're both done. No more schemes, no more shell companies, no more running. You get legitimate jobs and you live normal lives. Deal? She didn't answer. Deal? I asked again. Yeah, she said quietly. Deal. I turned to David. And you. You stay away from people like Vincent Cross. You hear me? He nodded, eyes on the floor. I walked to the door. I'll call you when I have the money. Dad, Elena said. Thank you. I didn't respond. I just left. I drove home in a daze. I just promised to pay $2 million to a mob enforcer. I just agreed to bankrupt myself to save my daughter and her worthless husband. What the hell was I doing? I got home and sat in my driveway for a long time. Then I pulled out my phone and called my accountant. I need you to liquidate my assets, I said. All of them, as fast as possible. Tom, what's going on? I need $2 million in 3 days. That's not possible. We'd have to sell everything at a loss. Then sell at a loss. I don't care. Just get me the money. There was a long pause. Are you in some kind of trouble? Yeah, but it's not my trouble. It's my daughter's. Tom, just do it. Please. He sighed. Okay, I'll start making calls. I hung up and went inside. I didn't sleep that night either. I sat at my kitchen table, going through my finances, calculating how much I could raise. The business was worth about $3 million if I sold it outright. My house was worth $500,000. I had retirement accounts, stocks, bonds. If I liquidated everything, I could probably get close to $4 million. More than enough to pay the debt. And then I'd have nothing. No business, no savings, no security. I'd be starting over at 58 years old. But Elena would be safe. I thought about that. Really thought about it. Was she worth it? Was saving her from the consequences of her own choices worth destroying everything I'd built? I looked at the photo on my fridge. Elena at 10 years old, gap-toothed smile, holding a trophy from her soccer league. Yeah, she was worth it. I made coffee and watched the sun come up. My phone rang. Rick. I found more information on Vincent Cross, he said. You're not going to like it. Tell me. He's not just an enforcer. Multiple suspected homicides, but nothing that stuck. He's smart, Tom, and he's dangerous. I know. Then why are you getting involved? Because I don't have a choice. Rick was quiet for a moment. What are you planning to do? I'm planning to pay him off and get my daughter out of this mess. And you think he'll just take the money and walk away? I'm hoping. Hope's not a strategy. It's all I've got. I hung up. 3 days. And then what? Elena and David would be free, but would they really change? Would they really stop running cons and hiding money? I didn't know. But I had to try. I spent the next 72 hours in a blur. Meeting with my accountant, signing papers, liquidating assets, watching my life's work disappear into cash. On the third day, I had the money. $2,200,000, accounting for interest, all of it in a bank account, ready to transfer. I called the number on Ray's card. He answered on the second ring. You got it? Yeah. Good. There's a warehouse on Industrial Boulevard. Number 42. Be there at midnight. Why midnight? Because I said so. He hung up. I looked at my watch. It was 6 in the evening. I had 6 hours. I called Elena. It's done, I told her. I have the money. She started crying. Dad, I'm so sorry. Save it. Just meet me at the warehouse. I want you there when I hand it over. Why? Because I want you to see what your choices cost. I hung up before she could respond. At 11:30, I drove to the warehouse. It was in the industrial district, surrounded by empty lots and abandoned buildings, the kind of place where bad things happened and nobody noticed. I parked outside and waited. At 11:50, David's Lexus pulled up. Elena got out. Where's David? I asked. I made him stay at the motel. He's too scared to come? Smart man. We stood there in the cold, not talking. At midnight exactly, the black SUV arrived. Ray and Marcus got out. Ray was smiling. Right on time, he said. I like that. I have the money, I said. Show me. I pulled out my phone and showed him the bank account. $2,200,000. Ray's smile widened. Beautiful. Okay, here's how this works. You transfer the money to this account. He handed me a slip of paper. And we're square. And the debt is cleared? That's right. David and Elena are free and clear. I looked at Elena. She was staring at the ground. Do it, Dad, she said quietly. I pulled out my phone and started the transfer. It took 2 minutes. 2 minutes to move $2 million. 2 minutes to destroy everything I'd built. When it was done, I showed Ray the confirmation. He checked his phone. Got it. Pleasure doing business with you. He and Marcus turned to leave. Wait, I said. Ray stopped. What? I want your word. The debt is done. You leave them alone. You got it. We're done here. And Vincent? He's done too? Ray's smile faded. Vincent doesn't answer to me, but I'll pass along the message. He got in the SUV and drove away. Elena and I stood there in the empty parking lot. It's over, she said. No, it's not. She looked at me. What do you mean? I mean, you think paying them off fixes this. But it doesn't, because you haven't learned anything. That's not fair. Isn't it? You made bad choices. You got in bed with criminals. You dragged me into your mess. And now you're acting like everything's fine. I didn't ask you to pay. You didn't have to. I'm your father. That's what fathers do. She started crying again. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it, Elena. I got in my truck and drove away. I didn't look back. I went home and sat in the dark. Everything I'd worked for was gone. The business I'd built, the security I'd created, the future I'd planned, all of it converted into a bank transfer to pay off my daughter's debts. I should have felt angry, or sad, or something. But I didn't feel anything. I was numb. My phone rang. Rick. I heard what you did, he said. How'd you hear? Your accountant called me. He's worried about you. Tell him I'm fine. Are you? I didn't answer. Tom, you just gave away everything. Your business, your savings. I know what I gave away. Then why are you okay with it? I'm not okay with it. But it's done. Rick sighed. What are you going to do now? I don't know. You could start over. Build another business? At my age? With no capital? You've done it before. I was 30 years younger then. So what? You're just going to give up? I looked around my empty house. Maybe. Rick was quiet for a long moment. I'm coming over. Don't. I'm coming over. He hung up. 30 minutes later, he was at my door with a 6-pack of beer. We sat at my kitchen table and drank without talking. Finally, Rick said, You did the right thing. Did I? Yeah. She's your daughter. You couldn't let her get hurt. I could have. I could have let her face the consequences of her choices. But you didn't, because you're a good father. I laughed bitterly. A good father doesn't raise a daughter who helps her husband launder money. That's not on you. She made her own choices. I wasn't there. When she was growing up, I was always working. Maybe if I'd been around more. Stop. You can't blame yourself for her decisions. Can't I? We drank more beer. What are you going to do about the business? Rick asked. Sell it or close it. I don't know yet. And then? I'll figure it out. Rick set down his beer. I have an idea. I don't want to hear it. Too bad. You're going to hear it anyway. He leaned forward. Come work for me. I'm expanding, and I need someone who knows the industry. Someone I can trust. I'm not working for you. Why not? Because I'm not an employee. I'm an owner. Then be a partner. We'll restructure the company. 50-50 split. I looked at him. Why would you do that? Because you're my friend, and because I've made enough money off your advice over the years that I owe you. I don't want charity. It's not charity, it's business. You're good at this, Tom. Better than anyone I know. I'd be stupid not to bring you on board. I thought about it. I'll think about it. That's all I asked. He finished his beer and stood up. Get some sleep. You look like hell. After he left, I sat there for a while longer. Maybe he was right. Maybe I could start over. Build something new. But first, I had to deal with Elena. The next morning, I drove to the motel. The Lexus was still there. I knocked on the door. David answered. Tom, what are you doing here? I need to talk to Elena. She's sleeping. Wake her up. He hesitated, then let me in. Elena was lying on the bed, fully dressed, eyes open. She sat up when she saw me. Dad, we need to talk. David started to say something, but I held up a hand. Not you, just her. Elena followed me outside. We stood in the parking lot, morning sun cutting through the cold. I want you to leave him, I said. I already told you. I know what you told me, but I'm asking you again. Leave him. Come home. Start over. Why? So I can be your project? So you can fix me? So you can have a chance at a real life. She laughed. A real life? Like yours? Working all the time, never home, drinking yourself to sleep every night? Don't lie to me. I can smell the beer on your breath. I stepped back. That's not fair. Neither is this. You paid off our debt, and I'm grateful, but that doesn't give you the right to control my life. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to help you. I don't need your help. You just took $2 million from me. I'd say you needed my help. She flinched. That's different. How? Because... She stopped. Because I didn't ask for it. You didn't have to. We stood there, not talking. I'm not leaving David, she said finally. I love him. He's using you. No, he's not. Then why did he let you take the fall? Why didn't he face Vincent Cross himself? Because he was scared. And you weren't? She didn't answer. Elena, wake up. He's a coward. He dragged you into his mess and then hid behind you. That's not love. That's manipulation. You don't know him like I do. I know enough. She turned to walk back to the room. If you go back in there, I said, we're done. You and me. I won't bail you out again. She stopped. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you a choice. Him or me. She turned around. That's not a fair choice. Life's not fair. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she walked back into the room and closed the door. I stood there for a minute, then got in my truck and drove away. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just drove. I called Rick. I'll take the partnership. Really? Yeah, when can I start? Tomorrow, if you want. Good. I hung up and kept driving. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't go home yet. I ended up at a diner on the edge of town. I ordered coffee and sat in a booth by the window. My phone buzzed. A text from Martha. I saw Elena and David leave this morning. Are they okay? I texted back. They're fine. Another text. Are you okay? I didn't respond. I sat there for 2 hours, drinking bad coffee and watching people come and go. Families, couples, people alone like me. Everyone looked normal, like they had their lives figured out. I wondered if any of them were faking it as much as I was. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. Yeah. Mr. Grant? A man's voice. Not Ray, someone else. Who's this? My name is Vincent Cross. I believe you paid off a debt for me recently. The debt's cleared, Ray said. Ray works for me, and he did exactly what I told him to do. Which was? Collect the money. But the debt isn't cleared. What are you talking about? I paid $2 million? You paid David's debt, but interest accrues daily, and penalties for late payment. The new total is $3 million. I couldn't breathe. That's not... You can't... I can, and I am. You have 1 week to come up with the rest. I don't have another $1 million. Then I suggest you find it, because if you don't, I'll collect from your daughter instead. He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. $3 million. They wanted $3 million. I'd just given them everything I had, and it wasn't enough. I called Ray. It went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I called Elena. She answered. Dad? Vincent Cross just called me. He says the debt isn't cleared. What? But you paid... He's charging more interest and penalties. He wants another $1 million. She was quiet. Elena, did you know about this? No, I swear. Is David there? Yeah. Put him on. I heard her talking to him. Then David's voice came on the line. Tom? Did you know the debt wasn't cleared? I wasn't sure. You weren't sure? Vincent has a reputation. Sometimes he what? Doubles the price after you pay? And you didn't think to mention that? I thought maybe, if we paid enough. You thought wrong. I hung up. I sat there in the diner booth, trying to think. I didn't have another $1 million. I'd liquidated everything. There was nothing left. Unless, I called my accountant. I need you to value the business again, I said, right now. Tom, we just went through this. I know, but I need to know what it's worth if I sell it today. Probably less than it was before. Liquidating your assets hurt the company's credit rating. Just give me a number. He sighed. Maybe $1 million. $1.5 million if you find the right buyer. Find a buyer, today. Tom? Today. I hung up. I could sell the business. Get $1 more million, pay Vincent, and then I'd have nothing. No business, no savings, no backup plan. I'd be broke at 58. But Elena would be safe. I thought about what she'd said. I don't need your help. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I was making this worse by trying to save her. Maybe I should just let it all burn. I sat there for a long time, thinking about that. Then I paid for my coffee and left. I drove to a storage facility across town. Not the one where I'd kept my old equipment. A different one. I unlocked Unit 17 and stepped inside. Inside were boxes. Old files, old records, old memories from my first business, the one I'd started before Elena was born. I dug through the boxes until I found what I was looking for. A black notebook. Leather-bound, pages yellowed with age. I opened it and flipped through. Names, addresses, phone numbers. People I'd done business with 20 years ago. People who owed me favors. People who operated in the shadows. I found the name I was looking for. Jimmy Torrance, a contractor who specialized in problems that couldn't be solved legally. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number, not sure if it was still good. It rang 4 times. Then a voice answered. Yeah? Jimmy? It's Tom Grant. Not yet. I need a favor. What kind of favor? The kind you're good at. Another pause. This is going to cost you. How much? Depends on the job. What do you need? I need someone to disappear. Jimmy was quiet for a long moment. You serious? Yeah. Who? Vincent Cross. I know. Can you do it or not? Maybe. But it'll cost you everything you got. I don't have anything left. Then we got a problem. I closed my eyes. What if I get you the money? How much are we talking? $1 million. Cash. Jimmy laughed. You're serious? Yeah. Okay. You get me $1 million, I'll make Vincent Cross disappear. But Tom? Yeah? Once this starts, there's no stopping it. You understand? I understand. And if it goes wrong, you're on your own. I was never involved. Deal. I hung up. I sat there in the storage unit, surrounded by boxes of my old life, and realized what I'd just done. I should have felt horrified, or guilty, or something, but I didn't. I felt calm, because this was the only way to protect Elena, the only way to end this. Vincent Cross would never stop. He'd keep raising the price, keep demanding more, until there was nothing left to take, unless I stopped him first. I closed the notebook and put it back in the box. Then I left the storage unit and drove to Rick's office. I need to borrow $1 million, I said. Rick looked up from his desk. What? $1 million. I'll pay you back. Tom, I just offered you a partnership. I'm not asking for the partnership. I'm asking for a loan. I'll give you collateral, whatever you need. What do you need $1 million for? I can't tell you, Rick stood up. Then I can't help you. Rick, no, I'm not giving you money for something illegal. It's not illegal. Then tell me what it's for. I couldn't. If I told him, he'd try to stop me. Or worse, he'd go to the police. Forget it, I said. I'll figure something else out. I turned to leave. Tom, Rick called after me, don't do anything stupid. I didn't answer. I spent the rest of the day trying to raise money. I called banks, investors, anyone who might lend me $1 million on short notice. No one would. Without collateral, without a business, I was worthless. By evening, I was out of options. I sat in my truck outside a liquor store trying to think of another way. My phone rang. Elena. Dad, we need to talk. About what? About Vincent. David got another call. He wants to meet. When? Tomorrow, at the warehouse. Just him and David? He said you should come too. He wants to negotiate. I laughed. There's nothing to negotiate. Dad, please. David's terrified. I'm terrified. We don't know what to do. You should run. We can't. Vincent will find us. She was right. People like Vincent always found you. Okay, I said. I'll be there. Thank you. She hung up. I sat there thinking. Tomorrow night, Vincent would be at the warehouse, expecting me to beg, to plead, to offer him more money. Instead, I'd offer him something else. I called Jimmy. Change of plans, I said. I don't have the money. Then we don't have a deal. Wait, what if I give you access to Vincent instead? Face to face, no security? Jimmy was quiet. You can do that? Yeah, tomorrow night. Warehouse on Industrial Boulevard. That's actually better than money. So we have a deal? Yeah, we have a deal. I hung up and sat there in the dark, and I felt nothing. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my reflection in the window, trying to recognize the person looking back at me. I'd crossed a line. There was no going back now. At 7 a.m, my phone rang. It was my accountant. I found a buyer for the business, he said. They're offering $900,000. It's the best I could do on short notice. Take it. Tom, are you sure? If you wait a few weeks, we might get a better price. Take it. I need the money today. He sighed. Okay, I'll set up the paperwork. You can sign this afternoon. I hung up. I started working with Rick the next day. It felt strange, being an employee again after so many years of running my own company. But Rick was a good partner. He gave me autonomy, trusted my judgment, and didn't ask questions about what had happened with Vincent. Elena called me a week later. Dad, we need to talk. Okay. Not on the phone. Can you come over? They'd moved to a new place, a small apartment on the other side of town. Cheap, but clean. I knocked on the door. David answered. Tom, come in. The apartment was sparse. A couch, a TV, a kitchen table, no decorations, no personality. It looked like a place you stayed temporarily, not a home. Elena was sitting on the couch. She looked different, thinner, older. Thanks for coming, she said. I sat down across from her. What's going on? She glanced at David. He nodded and left the room. I'm leaving him, she said quietly. I didn't react. When? Soon. I wanted you to know first. What changed? She looked down at her hands. I've had a lot of time to think. About what happened, about the choices I made. And I realized you were right. About what? About David. About everything. She looked up at me. He's not a bad person, but he's weak, and I can't spend my life protecting someone who won't protect himself. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Find a job, start over, figure out who I am without him. You can stay with me. I don't want to be a burden. You're not a burden. You're my daughter. She started crying. I'm sorry, Dad, for everything, for the money, for the lies, for... Stop. I moved to sit next to her. You don't have to apologize. Yes, I do. You gave up everything for me, and I didn't even appreciate it. I knew what I was doing. But you shouldn't have had to do it. I should have been smarter, stronger. I put my arm around her. You're strong. You just forgot for a while. She leaned against me and cried. I held her and didn't say anything. David came back into the room. I'll give you two some space. He left again. Are you going to be okay? I asked Elena. Eventually, I think. You will be. You're tougher than you think. She pulled away and wiped her eyes. I want to make things right. I want to pay you back. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Maybe not all at once, but I'm going to pay back every dollar, I promise. Okay. We sat there for a while, not talking. Finally, she said, But Dad, I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me you'll never do anything like that again, no matter what happens. I thought about it. I can't promise that. Why not? Because if someone threatens you again, I'll do whatever it takes to protect you. That's just who I am. She looked at me, searching my face. You're not the same person you were a month ago. No, I'm not. Does that scare you? Yeah, A little. She hugged me. It scares me too. I left an hour later. David tried to talk to me on the way out, but I brushed past him. He wasn't worth my time anymore. I drove home and sat in my driveway for a while, thinking about what Elena had said. She was right. I wasn't the same person. Not directly, but I'd made it happen. I'd paid for it, arranged it, and I'd do it again if I had to. That should have bothered me more than it did. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Yeah. Mr. Grant? A woman's voice this time, professional, cold. Who's this? My name is Detective Sarah Chen. I'm with the state police. I was hoping I could ask you a few questions. My stomach dropped. About what? I met him once. When was that? A few weeks ago, at a warehouse. He was trying to collect a debt from my son-in-law. A debt? Yeah. My son-in-law owed him money. I paid it. How much? $2 million. There was a pause. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it was everything I had. And after you paid, what happened? Nothing. The debt was cleared. Are you sure about that? Yeah, why? Shot multiple times at the same warehouse where you paid him. I didn't say anything. Mr. Grant, I need you to come down to the station. We have some things to discuss. Am I being charged with something? Not at this time, but we do need to talk. I want a lawyer. That's your right. But Mr. Grant, if you're innocent, a lawyer just slows things down. I still want one. She sighed. Fine. Have your lawyer call me to set up an appointment. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, trying to stay calm. They knew, or at least they suspected. I called the only lawyer I knew, a guy named Tom who'd helped me with business contracts over the years. I need a criminal defense attorney, I told him. The best you know. What happened? I can't talk about it. Can you make a referral or not? Yeah, I'll send you a name. 20 minutes later, I had the number for a defense attorney named Rebecca Walsh. I called her and explained the situation. Don't talk to the police, she said immediately. Don't answer any questions, don't even confirm your name. I'll handle everything. What if they arrest me? Then you call me from jail, but don't say a word. Understand? Yeah. Good. I'll reach out to Detective Chen and set up a meeting. In the meantime, stay calm and don't do anything stupid. Too late for that. She didn't laugh. I spent the next 3 days waiting for the police to show up. They didn't. On the 4th day, Rebecca called. I met with Detective Chen. They don't have enough to charge you. Why not? Because they can't prove you were involved. The shooter was a professional, left no evidence. No witnesses, no forensics, nothing that ties you to it. What about Jimmy? Who's Jimmy? The guy I hired. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Tom, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Never say that name again. Not to me, not to anyone. But I do know. No, you don't. Because if you admit that, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. I understood. The detective is going to keep investigating, Rebecca said. But unless she finds new evidence, she can't touch you. Just keep your head down and don't talk about this. Ever. Okay. I'm serious, Tom. This conversation never happened. She hung up. I sat there, trying to process what she'd told me. I was going to get away with it. That should have made me feel relieved. Instead, I felt nothing. Elena moved in with me 2 weeks later. She filed for divorce and started looking for a job. It was strange having her in the house again. Like we were going back in time before everything went wrong. But we weren't the same people anymore. One night, we were sitting at the kitchen table eating dinner when she asked, "Do you regret it?" Regret what? I set down my fork. How do you know I'm not stupid, Dad. I know you arranged it. I didn't deny it. So do you? She asked. Regret it? I thought about it. No. Why not? And I couldn't let that happen. She looked down at her plate. Sometimes I wish you had. Let it happen, I mean. Don't say that. Why not? Maybe it would have been better. You'd still have your business, your savings, your life. I'd rather have you. She looked up at me, eyes shining. Even after everything I did? Yeah, even after. She reached across the table and took my hand. I'm going to make this right, Dad. I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to be the daughter you deserve. You already are. We sat there, holding hands, not talking. Outside, the wind was picking up. I could hear it rattling the windows. A storm was coming.